Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and here on my channel I make crystal and geology related videos, so if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to subscribe because I put out new videos every week. And I also have a cute cat who is in just about every single video. I actually have 4, but she's the only one who's allowed to film with me. And sorry that this video is going up a little later than I had planned. The day I was supposed to film that I had off of work, Oracle had to go to the vet. She's all good. But that was a fun little $300 trip and I was a little preoccupied that day, so sorry for the delay. Today's video is another crystal chat video where we do a deep dive into one specific crystal to talk about its geology, fakes, and metaphysical properties. And today's mineral of the day is Corundum. Corundum is a mineral that includes both ruby and sapphire, so we will be talking about both of those. Corundum is the crystalline form of aluminum oxide. There are other types of corundum that don't have any value or use as a gemstone, and these can be used for industrial purposes as an abrasive. Corundum has a really high hardness level, being a 9 out of 10 on the Mohs scale of hardness, which means it can scratch just about every other mineral. Really, the only mineral that's harder than corundum is a diamond at 10 out of 10. Rubies and sapphires have a vitreous, which means glassy, or adamantine luster, and they vary in their translucency, with the most translucent or transparent ones being the most valuable and the more opaque ones being less valuable. Like I said, the two main varieties of corundum are ruby and sapphire. Corundum is classified as a ruby when it's red in color and considered a sapphire when it's blue, but really any type of corundum that isn't red is considered a sapphire. Ruby gets its red color from chromium and sapphire gets its color from titanium and iron and sometimes other transition metal impurities. There is a rare type of sapphire called the Padparacha sapphire, and it comes in a pinkish orange peachy color. It was originally discovered in Sri Lanka and it gets its unique peachy color from iron and chromium impurities. This means that sapphires can be pink, which seems like then it should be classified as a ruby, but in the US, a minimum color saturation must be met in order for the stone to be called a ruby. Otherwise, the stone is considered a pink sapphire. However, there's really no hard line on what is considered a ruby versus a pink sapphire, and it is sometimes up for debate. Other colors for sapphires are black, yellow, white, orange, green, and purple. It's basically every color that's not red. It was surprisingly hard to find a clear answer on what crystal system corundum is a part of. It was split between trigonal or trigonal. Which one is it? Trigonal. I'm gonna say trigonal. It was split between trigonal and hexagonal. Hexagonal makes a lot of sense, especially when you see how many rubies are formed. Clearly hexagon shapes, but many consider the trigonal system a part of the hexagonal system. So while this mineral appears very hexagonal and many claim that it is part of the hexagonal system, the most reputable sources that I saw say that it is trigonal. I saw the shape being described as a hexagonal scalenohedron, which is in the trigonal crystal system. If none of that makes any sense to you, I have a whole video, Geology 101 for crystal lovers, where we go into what the crystal systems are and what kind of crystal shapes come from them. But basically the crystal systems classify a mineral based on its internal crystal structure, which translates to the way the crystal looks externally. So these long, interestingly shaped pointy crystals that sapphires very often are found in, rubies as well, this would be the hexagonal scalenohedron. Rubies and sapphires can be found in both igneous and metamorphic rocks, but they are most commonly formed through metamorphism. High temperature and pressure conditions, such as where plates are colliding, can cause existing minerals to be transformed into new minerals. Corundum is composed of aluminum and oxygen, which are two extremely abundant elements in the Earth's crust. Even though this mineral is composed of common elements, it is rare because it only forms under certain conditions. This oxide rarely forms because if silica is present, silica atoms will readily bond with the aluminum and oxygen, not allowing corundum to form, because if it has silica in the structure, it's not the mineral corundum. And silica is extremely common. Both rubies and sapphires often have a feature called asterism, which is a star effect caused by light reflecting off tiny needle-like inclusions within the stone. Sometimes the star effect is very noticeable, but it is usually best seen when looking at the stone with a flashlight. Stars can come in 4, 6, or even 12-sided rays. While asterism is a naturally occurring feature that can happen in some stones, it can also be present in synthetic stones. Another interesting feature that rubies and sapphires sometimes have is called a record keeper. These minerals are sometimes seen with a triangular or diamond-shaped pattern on the surface, and these stones are called record keepers. Other stones can be record keepers as well, not just ruby and sapphire. Record keepers are believed to hold wisdom and knowledge and even be able to connect us to our past lives. This unique pattern is not a type of etching, which is where the mineral has been eroded away to create a pattern. This is the way the mineral grew. Record keeper shapes occur when there is an interruption in the growth or change in conditions while the mineral is growing. Corundum is often described as a rock-forming mineral, which means it's very abundant and makes up a large portion of the crust. Examples of rock-forming minerals are like quartz, feldspar, and mica. These are all very common minerals that are a part of many different rocks. Corundum is not nearly as common or present in as many rocks as these minerals are. Therefore, I think it is better categorized as an accessory mineral. An accessory mineral is one that can be found in different types of rocks, but is usually found in small quantities and is not essential to the naming or classification of those rocks. Corundum is often found with mica, schist, gneiss, marble, and other metamorphic rocks and minerals. Corundum crystals may have different qualities depending on what kind of rock they formed in. Here are some common ruby combinations that you may see on the crystal market. Most commonly, you'll see ruby in fuchsite. Fuchsite is a green variety of mica, often found on its own, but it can also contain rubies. When found with rubies, this material is usually a light pale pastel green color, sometimes with darker green spots as well. The color of the fuchsite in this combination is noteworthy because then we have ruby in zoisite, which is also ruby with a green mineral. Zoisite can come in many different colors, but it is green when it is found within the material ruby and zoisite. This material is often mistaken for ruby and fuchsite because they are both rubies in a green matrix, but zoisite is a darker green than fuchsite usually, and it has black spots of hornblende. Ruby can also be found in kyanite, which also gets mistaken for fuchsite or zoisite. Kyanite is much more blue in comparison to these other two minerals, and the rubies are usually darker or even kind of purpley when you see them in this material. Ruby kyanite also often has fuchsite in it, so you might see ruby kyanite with green parts, which is fuchsite. Rubies and sapphires are found in many places across the world, each location having slightly different looking crystals with different qualities or colors. Rubies and sapphires are found in many of the same places across the world. These locations include Myanmar. This location is known for its Burmese rubies, which are some of the highest quality found. Sri Lanka, which is where the Padparacha sapphires are found. Madagascar, Mozambique, United States, specifically in Montana. Specifically, Montana is known for its sapphires, like we talked about in my Montana video, the Yogo Gulch sapphires. United States is also known for its fancy sapphires, which means they are colored with colors other than blue. India, which is where a lot of ruby fuchsite and ruby kyanite is found, as well as sapphires. Pakistan, Afghanistan, Cambodia, Thailand, Tanzania, Kenya, Australia, Vietnam, and Laos. Because corundum has such a high hardness level, 9 out of 10, it is very durable and can't be scratched by almost anything. This means they both make really great jewelry. Both ruby and sapphire are safe to get wet, but even very durable stones like these may become dull or more fragile if left in water for a really long time. Ruby and sapphire's color may also fade if left in the sunlight for a long period of time, but this is not something that is likely to pose an issue with regular wear and use. When it comes to the quality of ruby and sapphires, there is really two categories of quality that we see on the market. We have like the precious gemstones that are made into rings, jewelry, faceted, beautiful, thousands of dollars, and then we have normal grade, lower quality pieces that may be tumbled or included in other rocks such as ruby and fuchsite. You can buy a ruby and fuchsite tumble for like $2, and it is clearly not going to be the same quality or grade of ruby that you would get in a ring. Precious gemstones are classified by 4 main characteristics. The first is the cut of the gemstone, and the cut can affect the price or quality because some cuts require more raw material to work with to make these cuts. Such as in the crystal world, spheres are usually a little more expensive than something like towers because spheres require more material to make that weight of sphere, because you have to cut pieces off and you lose pieces in the sphere process, whereas with towers you can just kind of chop it and you don't lose as much material. The next is clarity. The higher the clarity, the more valuable the stone. The clarity refers to the purity of the stone and if it has any inclusions, impurities, or imperfections. Color is probably the most important factor for determining the quality of a gemstone. For most gemstones, people want a vibrant, saturated, and uniform color. The color for gemstones is often changed or improved by heating the stone at high temperatures. Imperfections can even be filed down, and unwanted inclusions can be dissolved. And if there's any cracks in the stone, they can be filled in. The last characteristic is the carat, and the carat is the weight of a gemstone. The larger the carat, the more expensive it's going to be, as long as the quality is good. For the minerals we usually talk about, certifications of authenticity is usually a red flag. For example, moldavite being sold with a certification. Anyone can just print out a certification and claim that their stone is authentic. And that doesn't mean it's true. And certifications are definitely not the standard when it comes to regular rocks and minerals on the market, not precious gemstones, but just the regular mineral market. It's not commonplace for things to be sold with certifications. I know some people online, this is going to be a tangent, some people online like to say, oh, if your crystal doesn't come with a certification, then it's probably fake, so look for things that are certified. That is not standard, really. Like if you're looking for a rose quartz, I would be suspicious if it came with a certification because there's no need for it to be certified. Because you don't want just any old person saying it's been certified authentic. You want it to come from a reputable source, a reputable institution that actually evaluates these stones, and that is just not commonplace. However, when it comes to precious gemstones, certifications of authenticity are much more standard. Just make sure any certification is from a reputable lab or institution such as the GIA, the Gemological Institute of America. Many gemstones are actually lab grown. While lab grown crystals are definitely highly looked down upon when it comes to the regular mineral market, lab grown gemstones are very common and acceptable. Growing these gemstones in a lab allows for lower prices because there's no mining involved and provides a controlled environment for the mineral to grow where there are no unwanted impurities or imperfections in the final stone. These lab-grown stones are created from a genuine part of a real natural stone and they're still composed of the same elements. Natural gemstone quality rubies are rarely found in sizes larger than 1 to 2 carats, but standard quality rubies that you see more often on the market are more abundant and can be found in larger sizes. Sapphires, on the other hand, are more likely than rubies to be found in sizes larger than 1 to 2 carats. The largest ruby ever was 55 carats and was sold in 2022 for $34 million. If that seems like a lot, the largest sapphire ever found was discovered in 2016 and weighs 1,404 carats and is worth up to $300 million. Now for the fakes. Usually on my channel I talk about rocks and minerals, not usually fine gemstones. Gemstones are truly a category of their own and require specific knowledge and expertise to determine if they're fake, lab-grown, natural, heated. Gemstones are not my specialty, so I can't give a full comprehensive guide on how to determine if fine rubies and fine sapphires are real or altered. However, I can give some pointers and point out some easily identifiable fakes that you do not need to be an expert to spot. First, we have the honeycomb ruby, also known as ruby epidote. In my last video about the worst fake crystals, I mentioned this material. Trigger warning for trypophobia if tiny holes bother you because these pictures are creepy. This material is actually aluminum oxide, like real corundum, but it is very cheaply lab grown. If this were made of natural rubies of this size, it would be extremely expensive, if not just impossible to find. There are some authentic ruby towers that contain a good portion of ruby in them, but there's always a matrix rock or another mineral mixed within them. Like these, for example, are authentic. It's never just straight ruby, especially in this big of a size for this cheap of a price. Normally I say if you like these fake or lab grown or dyed or whatever crystals, then that's perfectly fine to buy them. There's nothing wrong with liking fake or lab grown crystals. However, I do have a problem with these because I just think they're creepy. And that's just my opinion. There doesn't appear to be a sapphire version of this fake ruby, at least not yet. Maybe it'll come out on the market and you'll see a blue variety of these full of tiny little holes. But the same goes for sapphire, where it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to find a big chunk of sapphire big enough to cut into shapes and be sold for a very cheap price. It's just not realistic. Anything that claims to be ruby or sapphire that seems too good to be true probably is. The next fake we have is eBay rubies. on eBay. There are many of these rubies on eBay that claim to be real, but with just a little bit of investigation, you can tell that these are very fake. This one is common sense, I fear, if you know a little bit about gemstones. If you don't know anything about gemstones and you thought they were real, then okay, but just a little bit of investigation, you can tell that these are not right. First, the size is outrageous, and a genuine ruby will never be found and faceted in a size this large and sold for this cheap of a price. The shape of this is also very strange and irregular, and it's hard to tell from the photo if there's any natural mineral in here at all, or if it is entirely synthetic and maybe made of resin, which is what I'm leaning towards just based on the size. There are also these very cheap sapphires, 230 carats for $21. I don't think so. Also on Etsy, a 7,000 carat sapphire for $150. These claim to be Kashmiri sapphires, which are actually some of the rarest sapphires. And if you look up what they actually look like, they're really expensive. There are some authentic rubies and sapphires on websites like eBay and Etsy that look like this. And then there's the fake dyed garbage that claims to be natural but isn't, that looks like this. Next we have fake ruby zoisite. This is a material I was suspicious of for a long time, and it has been confirmed that this is dyed. It looks very similar to genuine ruby zoisite, but the texture and the grains in the rock are just off. The rubies don't look quite like what real rubies in zoisite look like. Everything here just looks so splotchy and random. It really just looks like dyed granite. The grains are just too big. Some of these fakes seem super obvious, but others may seem convincing if you don't know that much about gemstones. Before purchasing anything, make sure the price of the piece seems acceptable for the size that you're getting. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Now let's get into the metaphysical spiritual properties of each of these crystals. Ruby is a grounding stone associated with the root chakra, and it is the birthstone for July. It is a stone of courage, strength, and energy. Ruby's energy helps us to conquer our fears and move forward with determination and a positive mindset. It helps us to maintain a sharp mind and improves focus and concentration. Ruby is believed to help improve physical health and boost life force energy. Ruby grounds us in the physical reality while still allowing us to perceive and work with the spiritual world and higher realms. Ruby promotes joy, creativity, confidence, and passion. Working with Ruby can help inspire fearlessness, motivation, and a new sense of personal power. Ruby helps to transmute negative energies, such as despair, into more positive, uplifting energies. Ruby is also associated with the heart chakra and has long been known as a stone of love and can help increase commitment and closeness in relationships. This gem has also long been used as a protective talisman, especially against nightmares and psychic attack. Sapphires are associated with the third eye chakra and are the birthstone for September, which is me, my birthstone. It feels so fitting for a Libra birthstone. Sapphire is a stone of wisdom, truth, royalty, and intuition. Its energy helps us connect to higher realms. Working with this gem opens us up to visions, dreams, messages, and a sense of inner knowing. Through difficult times, Sapphire can help us find wisdom and lessons to be learned. Working with Sapphire helps remove feelings such as helplessness and instills a feeling of strength and allows us to get up and take responsibility for our life. Sapphire is a stone of knowledge that allows us to see hidden truths beneath the surface. It also helps us to better understand ourselves on a deeper level. As with ruby, sapphire is also used for protection, especially against negativity, judgment, and ill wishes from others. Sapphire helps us to bring the body into energetic alignment and balance. It encourages us to stay consistent on our spiritual journey and prevents us from straying off our path. Sapphire's energy promotes deep commitment in relationships. It is also associated with the throat chakra and helps us to confidently speak our truth. So that's everything I have for you today about corundum. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something new. If you did like the video, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to see more crystal and geology content from me. Definitely let me know in the comments what kind of videos you'd like to see from me. I have a whole list of all your suggestions. I always write them down to make sure I'm making videos that you guys would like to see. And before I go, I'd like to share some exciting news, which is that I just ordered some new inventory for my crystal shop, cosmicgeology.com. It's always linked down below. Currently, all crystals, aside from like healing sets, are 50% off, no code needed. The discount will automatically be applied at checkout, and things have been going fast. So there's very few pieces left in my shop, but if you're looking for 50% off crystals, go check it out. This is the biggest clear out sale I've ever had because I have new inventory coming in finally. It's been over a year since I had anything new come in, and I'm so excited. I'm going to do an unboxing video, of course, but I just want to clear out the old to make way for the new and have a nice fresh start. Aside from crystals, I also have things that aren't on clearance, such as wire wrapped pendants. This is actually yellow sapphire. Rings, bracelets, art, notebooks. I have a crystal tapestry. I have all sorts of things, so check out my shop down below. Thank you so much to everyone who does. You can use code YouTube for a discount on any order at any time, except it probably won't work for the 50% off crystals. That's probably the best discount you can get. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.